Dear students, we are going to start another topic in the chapter Age of Industrialization, and the name of the topic is Factories Come Up. So here basically we will discuss about the Indian factories and the Indian factory owners. Initially we discussed that when Britishers came, they came with negative points. I mean to say they came here in India and they transformed all the things in their benefit, in their favor. But when they came here, they came with certain advantages also. They came with certain benefits also. Although it was indirect, but it gave much advantage to India. So what was those advantages or benefits? We are going to discuss that. When Britishers reached India and India became the colony of Britain, it was very easy for the Britishers to do trade with the eastern part of the world. And that is why they took India as the ground to do trade with China. Now, from the land of India, the Britishers were doing trade with China, and particularly on two different products, opium and tea. They were the important products that were exported and imported from in between China and Britain. As the trade was going on between Britain and China, and some Indians also got chance to get entry because it was not easy task to do the trade and at the bulk level. So many Indians got associated in between the presses. As we all know that trade includes different processes like packaging, transportation, assembling. So in all those activities, Indians got opportunity to get connected. And this is how Indians got connected. And they earned some money also in this activity. When some Indians got the chance to earn the money from this activity, they thought that why we are going to operate under Britishers, why we should not open our own factory, we should run our own industrial activity. By thinking that, they invested their money in several industrial activities and they earned profits also. But some of them, they failed. But maximum got profit or maximum became successful in this process. I am going to quote some examples like Dwarkanath Tagore. Dwarkanath Tagore, he could not become successful in running the business activity. But many others like Birla, like Tata, they got opportunity to earn money, to expand their industries. And this is how Indian factories came up. It dotted on the landscape of industrial class in India. Now, you'll have to understand that it is true that Indians also got the chance to come up and after that they expanded their empire. But even in that time, Britishers were not ready to give them full opportunity or full freedom to expand their business. One or two important agencies were formed by the Europeans, and the name of that agency was European Managing Agency. So it was going to supervise, it was going to control the Indian factories or the Indian entrepreneurs. So this is how the Indian factories or the Indian factory owners, although they came up, although they emerged, but they were not free. They were still under the control of various agencies who were working on behalf of Britishers and other Europeans. So we saw that here many Indians got the chance to emerge as an industrialist, but still they are not independent. And they were aspiring for the freedom. They are thinking, once we will get freedom, our industry will also get freedom. So this is how they also invested money during our freedom struggle. So you have to understand the fact that factories came up and Indians got the chance to expand their factory. And once they got the chance, they expanded the factory up to the great extent. Now, one more question was there, from where the workers will come in the factory. As we saw in the Europe, many workers were there. It was very easy to get the workers. So from where the workers were coming to join the Indian factories. So Indian factories were getting the jobs, were getting the workers from the local districts, from the local by area, from the nearby areas. So workers were easily available to them. Like it is mentioned in your book that in Maharashtra, various mills were there, cotton mill and jute mill were also there, and they were getting the people, they were getting the workers from the nearby Ratnagiri district. So this is how the workers were getting entry into the factory, Indian factory. Now, one important person was appointed by Indian factories, and that was named as jobber. Now, jobber main task was to provide job. He was working on behalf of the companies, on behalf of the factories to hire the workers. So his basically work was to hire the workers by judging their quality for the particular work. So he became the ultimate recruiting body to hire the workers for the factories. No. Over the time, he became a very dominant person. He became a very powerful person because after that, company dependent on him for the recruiting person or for recruiting the workers. After some time, he became the corrupt man because he started asking bribes or money for recruiting someone in their factory. So jobbers became corrupt over some time, and from there the corruption started in the factory, and I'm talking about the Indian factory. Now, after that, we are going to discuss another topic, and the topic is what was the special thing about the industrial growth. I mean to say, Indian industries were there, but how the growth came, how it grew further, we are going to discuss. Initially, when the Indian industries came up, or Indian factories came up, they found it is a very difficult to go with textile business because textile business was already dominated by Manchester's. As Manchester's goods were easily available, it was very difficult for the Indians to go with the textile industry, and that is why they shifted their attention towards the yarn production, that is thread production. They thought that it is going to give them good benefits or good profit. So by thinking that, they invested their money in yarn production, and they shifted their attention towards export of the yarn in China and Japan. And Japan and China was the great importer of thread or yarn at the time because of its good quality. So we were able to export thread and yarn to China and Japan. Now after that, after some time, China also developed and Japan also developed their own thread. So they refused to import our yarn thread or our yarn industry or our yarn. So it was very difficult time for India. But as we all know that if God is going to close one door, it is going to open another door. At the same time, when thread was not going to get acceptance in the China and Japan, at the same time in India, the freedom movement started, and particularly the Swadeshi movement. So the thread that was unutilized, that was on the Indian soil, it was utilized for constructing the textile. So again, you'll have to understand the same yarn that was to be exported to the China and Japan, it remained in India, and that was utilized for making textile, Swadeshi textile. No. So again, there was the phase of re-emergence of textile industry in India. So we saw that initially Britishers came, they ruined our industry. But again, because of Swadeshi movement, we got chance to re-emerge our textile industry. So this was the comeback of the textile industry of India. No, initially we found that they ruined our textile industry, but here we can understand that the time came again for the re-emergence of textile industry, particularly because of the Swadeshi movement and other incident, that is the refusal of yarn by China and Japan. So we discussed this topic. Okay. Now one more thing. At the same time, the First World War started, and because of the First World War, more things happened, and this led to ultimate growth of Indian industries. So we'll discuss it in the next topic.